This is a short demo of the design flow in the Vault. There's two screens on the right hand side here. This shows the server that was kicked off. So this basically hosts the API to the blockchain. This API has a smart contract which interfaces with the backend blockchain. And then this front end application, this is just running the AngularJS application, which is hosted in our browser here locally in order to run the actual design flow UI. So let's see what that looks like. So the local host port 3000 contains the API, and the API is written in Express.js, and we provide a Swagger interface to that API. The Swagger interface shows the different methods, so we can post a design flow. This posts the JSON file to the file system and creates a hash of that file to put on the blockchain to create a fingerprint of that. And then we also allow updates on the design flow. So each update is a modification of the design flow where a hash goes on the blockchain and the modification gets stored in the file system. And it also points to the original design flows. So that's what the backend API does. And then if we look at the front end, we've ported the application over from the repository build, which integrates with OSF on the front end and back end. It talks to the backend OSF file system, so there was a significant amount of decoupling we needed to do there. So we decided to port it over from an Ember.js application to an Angular application. So this is a kind of a rewrite, but we used all of the tools possible. So when you import a project over, we wrap up the project in such a way that we collect information about the project. So we collect the name and the icon, all the contributors, the tags and the type of project it is, the design flow, for example, and the description. This description is pretty basic, but it will drag in whatever's there. And this is a read-only, so this is only going to display the HTML description. You can't edit it from this particular Vault version of this. I noticed this is running locally on port 42,000, so this will run locally on the Vault. So on the Linux machine that has all the tooling, this will be run as basically a desktop application using a web browser on the local host on that particular Vault. So it will all be hosted within the Vault environment. So here we have 4 different menu options, the overview. The graph view is the graph view from the Vault, so you can kind of zoom in and change the layout by dragging things around. And then you can also, as previous, you can click on each of the boxes and it will show you the various documentation for that particular tool. This is very similar, although it's a slightly different implementation because of the port over to the new environment. So the look and feel is slightly different, but it's similar. So you can click on any of these like you could before. The 4th menu, the versions one, this shows the versions. This used to be called Time Machine, but now it's called versions. This shape here represents the original asset. So this is the first one that was put into the system, and these 3 are revisions. Clicking on any of these will go back to that version. So if I zoom in there and click on this, it will load in another version with extra tools added and so forth. And then the design flow component, this is a new screen that we've developed, which is basically an editor. So people can go in here and edit the design flow directly and then save it. And when they save it, this generates a revision on the backend asset on the blockchain for this particular design flow.